Hello, and welcome to the live stream. Hello, everyone. Hello, Glenda. Hello, Froggy Fresh. Hello, anyone else that might be on. We're going to be finishing off this piece here, and looking at it in some ways, I don't think there's a whole lot that needs to be done with this one. But when I looked at it a little bit closer, there was a little bit more fine tuning that I thought could be done that stood out to me a little bit. I'm just kind of refining. There's like, I don't know, like the odd tree trunk or something like that that could be rendered a little bit more. We can kind of direct light slightly better by knocking down a tone or two here or there. Which shouldn't take too long. I don't know. I was looking at some of their areas on this piece, and I was thinking, there I could cram like a couple other things into here. In terms of little figurines or something like that, which could be fun. I thought about putting another ant going this way, kind of, catching up to his little trail right there. Little things like that could be fun. Hello, PJB, CM, Heather, good to see you all. But yeah, I don't know, just little things like that, I think are fun to do. Putting these little refinements on the pieces are the thing that I really enjoy doing the most when it comes to scenes. I really like kind of those little final touches on little bits and pieces here and there, in big or small scenes. And I don't know, maybe it's because those are the things too. Those little refinements are the types of things that I'm not really thinking about going into it. So it's kind of, it's those little decisions that are somewhat based on the things that have developed in the course of creating that piece. So it's a little bit more of a kind of a impromptu type of response. And those types of things are really fun to do. A lot of stamping I've found these days, it's a lot about, and I get it too. It's if someone's just starting to do a new type of stamping or landscape stamping in particular. They want to know kind of every step of the way from start to finish. And yeah, that's good for like when you're starting out. You want to know kind of you want to have a really good map, road map from beginning to like the last steps or something like that. But when you kind of get moving and you get comfortable with those basic types of things, those little things that kind of come up are really the most fun. Sometimes they're the most kind of daunting things though, because it involves, some kind of, crossroads or something like that. But the things that we do in stamping, I don't know, it's not really like, oh, should I do this or should I not? Because if I do it and it's wrong, then that's bad. But it's just like two ways to go, that'll, there's no right or wrong or something like that usually. It's just like, that it's, I don't know, just different options. And that's what these types of things are here. I don't know, if at least it is for me. I usually don't do anything kind of like huge, like a big, huge kind of a thing that's going to completely change the character of a piece, or even like a large section of it or something like that. They're just little things that kind of contribute to the overall. And on something like this, these little things that I'm doing here with these little shadows and things like that are, one part of, I don't know, 200. basically, or something like that. There's so much going on in this piece. I mean, there's, I colored in a couple of these um, tree trunks. It's like, oh my god, I forgot to even do that, and I didn't even see it, until I don't know a few minutes ago when I was looking at this. It's like, oh, I didn't even do, whatever it was. It's just there's so much going on in here. And I was mentioning yesterday, there's certain things that I don't know. It kind of surprises me when it gets to the scale of this size. It's like you can do some. I would do certain things all the time, like if this was a smaller scene, but particularly like down in here, I'd put some more highlights, but I didn't even do that, and I was beginning to wonder. I could add those in, but will it really matter? you know, I don't know. Which is a good thing because it just means that there's plenty of other information going on and things to look at, and for me too in here. I'm not just kind of spending too much time on anything in particular in terms of looking at this whole piece. I guess I don't know. I guess my eye is being drawn to, I don't know, because specific things. So, anyways, hello, Jeannie. How is everyone today? I hope you're all doing well. Staying out of the floods if you're in a flood area. Staying cool if it's like super hot today. It's really hot here today for us. It hasn't heated up here in the house yet, so um, that's probably going to come later on today. It kind of seeps in and oozes into the, I don't know, through the insulation throughout the course of the day, I guess. Okay, so let's see, I'm kind of adding a little bit more variation down here. The sedge filler right here has these textures down in here, and I added this all around her, and I'm just going in and reiterating these little things right in here. You can barely see the sedge filler though because it's stamped out fairly light, but I'm just going in there and just adding that little bit of texturing in there just so it's not just some flat thing, and you can see that it's supposed to be grass as opposed to, if it's completely smooth, it could be anything. It could be concrete, it could be water, or something like that. So if you want to add a little bit of texturing in there like that, it's a good way to, well, I guess I can see the sedge filler down here. Is it? Go in and add it in like this. This whole piece is, for me, it's really about texture. I mean, there's dominant objects in here, certainly, that capture the eye, but if you just concentrate on all this texturing coming down the leaves, these little branches, there's everything in here, these reeds and grasses and all of that type of thing. They're things that you really want focus on at all, but they're all visual bridges going everywhere in here. So this, to me, it's I don't know, it's like a textural kind of I don't know, it's a texture heavy project, or it's a study. It's a study in textures. That's what I was trying to think of right there. Or an exercise in textures, and grassy textures, I guess, specifically. So, in something like this, for me, doing this piece, after doing that last piece, or the first one, it was a little bit daunting. So, getting everything to blend in with one another, like different looking scenes and different types of scale and everything like that. So on this one right here, I just made it a lot easier for myself. And I just, like I said, I just pulled out all of my textural stamps. And having all these, if you just concentrate on the reeds right here, there's reeds here, here, it's like here, over here, going up here like that. See, all those little types of things like that, that are really, I don't know, like third tier types of visuals within the piece those are the things that are kind of, it's a needle and thread sewing everything together. Rock textures like this, I mean, they're everywhere in here. Those are the things that are really making it easy, and they're like the I don't know, the kind of the unsung heroes of this type of thing like that, you know? Just adding those types of things everywhere in a piece like this, even on like a large scale piece like this. It's just, I don't know, they're just running through it. It just brings everything together and just made it so much easier the second time around. So I'll have to remember that if I do that third piece on this one. I'm trying to think of what I would do. I was thinking a cave would be a good third piece, but yeah. Hello, Verna. Hello for a bit, Verna. But yeah. I don't know. Something like a little cave, like a little cave system or something like that might be cool. As a third type of thing, or maybe just part of this scene would be like, you know, it's like where you're going into a cave. I don't know. Then I'd have to do something where it represents like we can see into the cave, you know, or a little bit or something like that, you know. But certainly like a little network of I don't know, passageways and whatnot. And then what a perfect opportunity for like some other creatures kind of hanging out in the shadows. All right, so adding this in, like I said, I don't have too much to do on this one, but, and I like to add that little, you know, kind of foggy effects, but a lot of that seems to have already been taken care of. I find that this piece already kind of looks almost kind of, I don't know, atmospheric, I guess. There's a lot of atmosphere, and I don't know. I don't know what's doing it in here. I guess, I don't know. You're just maybe spending more time on the grayscale stuff, you know, with the Prismacolor black pencil, you know, and just enable, you know, using that type of stuff to get like those little gray tones back here. I don't know. I don't use those too much normally. It's usually to get in like little fine details, you know, if I want to do something here and there, but I used it really extensively on this piece. So I guess kind of getting all those other lighter tones like that I normally get with just some dye-based inks. And if I get it too dark, then I add the white ink over the top of it to knock it down. It's just already here with the Prismacolor, so I need to remember all that type of stuff. Yeah, the fireflies. That's part of the fireflies are done PJB with the white pigment ink. So that's all part of that fogging type of process like that. The deer eyes scare you the most. I'm glad you can see that there. You know, that little 0.7 millimeter pen. It does stand out pretty well in there, doesn't it? I was thinking about this other video that I want to do. I want to do like a scene like this, you know, but just like, you know, daytime or something like that. You know, a deer kind of in the standing out there in the distance or something like that, hiding behind a tree with some wildflowers or something like that, you know, in here. And it would be like a friendly and then ominous treatment of, you know, a scene like this. You know, you do it in black and white and grayscale and put pop eyes in there, Halloween and ominous. Done in, you know, beautiful browns and greens, you know, with some wildflowers at the base of the trees and stuff like that. Springtime and happy. It's like the different, I don't know, the many personalities of the, I don't know, whatever, Stampscapes. All right, so let's get into it right here. We can start off, okay, first of all, what I'm doing with this cotton ball is I'm taking it and I'm kind of wadding it up like this. So I'm changing the surface density from, you know, really soft and airy to a little bit more dense. That's more conducive to what we're going after. We don't want it all we want a soft application, but we don't want it all, frayed and loose like that. Okay. Oh, awesome. Awesome candy. I take it you got your stamps. Thank you. Okay, so I'm inking this up on here, okay? And here, I always show this because some people haven't seen this before, but see, I'm just holding the StazOn pad so you can see the surface quality of the cotton like that. See how it kind of, it pulls out like that, and it's this frayed, loose looking, I know that's a little out of focus like that. So you push that back in like that, but you're also kind of pushing some of the ink back into the surface of this cotton ball. Cotton too, okay, not the acrylic artificial cotton, okay? All right, do that a couple times, get it in there, kind of get, reasonably even coat in there. Now, if you don't use your white pigment ink pad very often, okay, it might be super saturated with ink, okay? So just tap in there a little bit and then squash it down, okay? Don't keep re-inking it like I am. I just re-inked this one right here, but I didn't re-ink it a ton, so I don't have a lot on here. It's kind of dry. Let me just show you how much is on there, or I can find out how much is on here myself. I sometimes I have to check. But see that there's just that kind of, I mean, that's the right amount right there, okay? If you go like this and it's just big slathering of ink, that's not what you want. So you want to blot it off a little bit. Take some of it out, blot it on your piece of paper first, so that when you tap it, it's like, it's like this, it's almost like powder. That's what you want, okay? You want a very little amount to be transferring over, okay? So think about it like, I don't know what you think about it. Like, I don't know, not like baby powder, but kind of, And when you start adding this down, keep in mind that if it's the right amount, a couple taps, you're not going to be able to see anything, okay? So that's what you want. That's where people kind of get confused in this process. Even though I talk about it like every single time, it's weird, you know what I mean? Taking something and going like this, an applicator of media to go like this, and to not see anything at all with, a couple different applications. It's application like that, okay? And I totally get that. That's not what we're used to seeing in our media. But see this right here? Here I'm tapping it, say, I don't know what that was. I didn't count. But that might have been 20 taps like that. And there's your mist like that. Okay, but that's, if anyone ever has heart problems with it, that's the thing that it is all the time. Because what can go wrong? It's like, okay, if you don't like it, then it's like I don't know, like a 1% addition of that ink on there. It's not like you're going to go like this and think, oh my God, that was a mistake to add it there. And plus, if it's a mistake, then you just wipe it off like that and it comes right off. So, it's hard to kind of undo to do anything wrong with that. So I'm adding it in where light meets dark. And see, there's that faint little thing in the background. But don't get impatient with it, Impatience kind of, if you're adding on this big, huge blob of it like that, and look at it and see what you're doing, You always going to want to take a look, see what you're doing, hold it at an arm's distance and see if you like it or not. But see, here's where light meets the darkness like that, okay? Here's a little bit of light in here. It's coming through this little fence like that, okay? So I'm adding it in. Look at that. It's, I don't know, you barely see any like that. So you're constantly just using this really dry amount like that. It's more when you first start doing this, okay? And I'm, in whatever scene you're doing, okay? Now I might go, with thicker applications later when it's like, okay, I didn't add enough and it's not adding enough white ink. The more I go, then certainly add more on there and then apply more. But when you're first going like this and first applying it in a certain area, for me, I just take a small amount. So see that little bit of a just glow right behind there? Look how much this fence stands out even more by knocking that little tree trunk just a little bit lighter behind it like that, okay? I can do the same thing like this. Yeah, I am applying it over this fence, but you have so little, so it's not like this. I don't see this like glob of paint on this fence post right there, but see, I just knocked that one down a little bit more. The light is coming from here, going on that. I mean, I can put a little bit of light on these heads right there if I want to, on his nose. I don't want to, but I'm just saying, those are where some light meets dark right there. You know, let's see. Let's add a little bit more here. You know, we're kind of working around this kind of lighting coming through this fence like that. And don't do it everywhere too. See this right here? I'm kind of adding some right there. Maybe just leave this one as is so that from a textural standpoint, you have a little bit of contrast between this fence post right there and this one right there. It just makes it look a little bit different. It says that there's lighting in there by having some other areas that are kind of more shadow like that, okay? So remember how we're contrasting kind of light and dark across here with checkerboarding. It's going from light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, okay? You can also do something like this. This kind of represents light, of course, like that. So it can represent light, but you can also use this for sharp against soft. So this is kind of creating really soft lighting in there. But what makes something look soft or softer is contrast against something that looks nice and crisp. So let's put this down here on these kids here. I'll put them in a little shroud of kind of softness like that. So see, they're kind of running in some low-lying fog, right? But then it's contrasted against the crisp up top like that. Here's this base of this tree like that, you know, so it's soft down here and sharp up top, okay? But I don't do it over this whole thing like that. I mean, you certainly could if you want it to look like, you know, I don't know, what is that movie, The Mist or Fog? But overall, I see it as a, I don't know, this pattern of contrast running in here like about like so, okay? And like I said, if you put too much of it, a lot of times though, when this dries, it's going to look a lot darker because it kind of gets a little bit more transparent too. So sometimes if you think you added a little bit too much, sometimes you might want to wait till it dries a little bit and to see if it just inherently gets darker, which it does. It kind of blends in a little bit easier. So, yeah. Yeah, Candy, always do that. Or if you have Candy, if you have a piece of foil like this, do it on that because then you can just dab it on there and just wipe it right off. It'll come right off. You're adding too much. If you had problems with it, in terms of the application, now if you're talking about areas to add it into your scene, that's different. You want to add it in where there's some white paper still. If you're doing it on white paper. Now, adding this type of thing on foils, that's a different process. Or starting off with darker tones, okay? Because you're not adding it, you're creating lighting with that. So that's a different thing. But as far as practice goes, just do that, okay? Or on your scenes, I mean, if you can just go like that, and if you can see it in one tap, then you have way too much ink on there. Get it to where you kind of only see it through the course of, I don't know. Now this is getting really dry on here, but like 15 taps or something like that to get like that right there. That's about right on there. Okay, but yeah, if you do it on black paper, then, I mean, you'll really get a feel for it. But just remember, it's going to be different every time, like depending on how wet your pad is. But, you know, when you're getting the feel of it, always do that before you start adding it on. I don't know. I still do it sometimes. Like if I have like a new pad or something like that, or sometimes if I think I added too much ink to this, I'll see how much is on there. But I'm usually going like this. You can take a black piece of paper or just in your lightest area like this, just kind of start adding it on because you can't see anything at all, right? No matter how much you add down there, white on white, you'll never see. But then you can kind of just start creeping it out like that and see how much ink is on there like that. Or, instead of dabbing this off on your, scrap piece of paper, just dab it off on your lighter areas if you have some lighter areas like I do right here. And then see, I'll just kind of keep tapping it on like that. And then I'll just kind of creep into, like that rock right there. See, that rock's a little bit lighter now than this one. And I'll just keep going on like that. And there, I don't know, there's the treatment there. I mean, it's just some little touch like that. And I think that's all that really needs right there. This fence right here, I think it looks good as is. But, I mean, if we want to. See this right here? See how you can barely see it right there? It's just going up. I don't know. It's like a... I think that, I don't know how many taps that was again, but see that little bit like that? It's just a little bit of fog like that. And then that's going to darken a little bit more. But see, that's just all it takes. And that was like 20 taps for like a 5, like I said, it's maybe like a 5% application of that medium right there. But look how great those kids look back there. Just kind of done at the base and up like that. It looks like they're running through the fog like that now, right? Let's see, let's vary this little path in here just slightly, just so it's not quite so uniform like that. And see that little bit in there? I don't know if you can see it or tell. There's 30 taps. You know what I mean? 30 taps takes like, it takes, I don't know, 5 seconds or something like that. So it's not like, if you say something like, just don't do it until, you can see something in 10 taps. It's not like that's a long time or something like that here. So that's like 10 taps right there, right in this area right here. It needs more like 30, but it's not, it doesn't take too long at all. And then when you do it like that, there's no kind of, I don't know, there's no, or I should say there's very little kind of revision that you need to do from the application of too much of anything. Well, it's not too much practice, Candy, You can get it in the first fell swoop. Just always, though, just use the right medium. So, I mean, you can create, the wrong medium like that. But if you get it right on here, you're going to get it in the first try. I mean, how much practice is it going to take? But again, I totally get it, though, because what you're doing here, in a sense, is normally we're buying our media, colored pencils, an ink pad or something like that, whatever. You're making, or we are making, our own tool out of this. It's not really, we're not buying this cotton ball that says 5% white or something like that on there. So you're doing your own art, supplier or something like that. You're your own art manufacturer. You're making a 10%, white applicator. You're making a 5%, something like that. And that's something that most of us aren't really used to doing, until we do it. I didn't do, that's the same thing with me. I wasn't always using this type of thing like this, and I had to get used to it too. But, once you do it, and then once you just start tapping it in here, I mean, it's like, that's it, If people are in my workshops, and they always did it, and they didn't take any practice, but I made sure that they weren't using just too much ink on there. And, if I ever saw that, I just said, oh, just tap it off another 10 times and they're fine. And then you just got to know when to reload. But don't do this, It's like on your first time, people might do this and they got me going on there. Okay, it's a little bit too dry. Okay, now ink up a little bit more, and then they'll go like this, and they'll just go straight on there again. But remember, just dab it off, get your consistency. started in the lighter areas like this all the time. Don't go into your darker areas right off the bat, unless you have a really good feel for it, and you'll get it every time. All of my processes that I do, it's all about kind of like these incremental types of things. So when I tell people just to email me something, let me see what you're doing. It's the hurried nature of trying to get to the extremes of any type of thing every time. It's when it comes to color or something like that. If all the colors look pretty good, but there's a little bit of troubles with the blending of darker tones. There aren't enough of the lighter tones laid down underneath their lighter ones. So it might look a little bit anemic, or it might look like harsh applications of a dark tone over something really light, where I'd just say, okay, just go back into it and add more of those lighter tones into that, where their pieces will come out richer, and they'll get that blend going in with the darker ones. With the white one, it's always like way too much white in a given area. So it's like trying to rush too much to get, let me see this right here. So this right here, this white is really like reflecting a lot of that light like that. So this is what this looks like right there. Look at, you can barely see it right there, right? So again, you kind of have to kind of get the feel of what these mediums are looking like on there. Oh yeah, but don't rush anything. Just kind of, and inevitably, it's when people rush to do things like that with any of those things, either getting lighter or darker, it becomes a little bit more precarious, and in the end, it kind of takes a little bit more time. And I'm saying this too because this happens to me too, where I have to kind of undo something or, subdue other things, especially when it comes to the white ink like this. A lot of times I'll add in way too much darkness in a given area, and I'll just utilize the white a lot more. So like up in here, if I got really dark with it, I would have to use this if I want to illuminate it more. Okay, but that being said, that's why a lot of times I'm not like particularly too careful about it, because I know I can go into it with this, but I do know it takes a little bit more time to add this on, wherein I could have just left it lighter to begin with my inks. So I totally get it, because it's no different for me either. Okay, so see this right here? Here's this moon. Here's this figure right here. See this real crisp line like that? Let's put a little bit of this tone on the back of its head like that. All right. See, you can barely see it, right? Okay. That's what this is all about like that. And now he's got that nice glowing head. I don't know, not glowing head, but there's some light reflecting off of that head like that. But do you see this kind of, do you see it in here? I don't think I need to add too much more, but I don't know if you see the difference between this white in here now. Do you see it kind of throughout though? I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it's picking up on the camera here. I know we're getting a little bit of glare. Okay, but see this down here? This is where light meets dark right here. But see this solid area of shadow like that? Let's break it up a touch, but let's just break it up like ever so slightly like this, okay? And you have that little bit of tone in there. See how it's just a little bit changed like right in here. All right. Oh, a little bit on her too, like that. So there's a little bit of a reiteration of texture and form and stuff. Let's get some of these little branches. And let me see. Okay, let's do the same thing with this couple right here. Let's put them in a little bit of fog, like that. Okay. I love doing fog at the base of feet on living things, creatures, deer, horses, whatever. people, like that. I think that looks better to me than without. I don't know. It just, I don't know, it adds that little bit of lighting in there. A lot of times for like things like fog and light too. People like soft lighting, you know. But I don't know, when did they start selling like soft light bulbs? Wasn't that like was that in the 80s or something like that? But just soft lighting here. This creature's right here. Okay. All right. Whoever's having needs refinement on their cotton ball technique, just grab it. You got to grab it right now, and let me know what's going on right there. Unless people are like at work or something, you don't have your you don't carry your white pigment ink with you everywhere. But yeah, just grab it right now and then see how it's going on. Get the feel for it. Get the touch. All right, so anyways, adding this passage right here. Let's see. Let's go up here a little bit more. See, this little passage right here kind of got a little bit blocked off from that shadow from the tree, but you can just come in here a little bit and add that in, and it just makes it a lighter touch like that. Let's see if it kind of carries us out there a little bit more from a textural standpoint. Let's go like this. A little bit too much there. See, when I get too much, then I just kind of switch off to like the non. Here I'm applying right here. So this area right here has no ink on it. So I'll just kind of wipe it off a little bit like that, or sop it up like that. And that gets it right there too. All right. I think that's about it. Let's get to the fireflies. Fireflies are a different thing too, but it's the same concept. It's just a smaller swab like this, okay? This would be a good technique for you, Candy, with the cotton ball here, okay? Because if you go too dark or if we have too much ink on this, then we lose that little dot in there like that. So this one's really important to get the consistency right. So what you do is, this is too hard of a tip right here. So I take this, and you kind of have to loosen up that, how wound up it is like this. So I'm kind of loosening it up like that. This one's on there kind of tight, like that, okay? So just kind of loosen up, kind of, you're not unwinding it completely, but like that. See, this is kind of like, see, it's kind of like frayed like that a little bit, but it's much looser than this side. Okay, so you want to get the consistency right. By the way, so really kind of compacting this down too, that was another important part, you know, taking it from really kind of big and open and super soft to, I don't know, this feels like more like a chamois or something like that that's in my hand in terms of the consistency. In fact, you might be able to use a chamois. Taking it like this, dabbing it down. Okay, let's take a look at it like this too, okay? See, that is too much like that, right? Now, I could just dab lighter too, you know, to get, you know, a lighter consistency, but that's even too much right there. So I'm going to dab it off like that. And this is kind of packing it down like that to get that same consistency as the top of this, or a similar one. So you're blotting this down, you're kind of packing some of that in there. And then just here, I need to shape this a little bit too, because it's a little bit frayed. And then, there we go, right there. Let me see. When this thing goes out of focus, it just doesn't get that focus back. Okay, there we go. Okay, I can't focus in. I can't go in too much, but I think you can see it right here. See, here's one tap like that, and you can barely see it. And you go several times like that, and there's your glow like that. See that right there? You can really see the amount that's showing through like that. All right. That would be more like, I don't know, like snowballs or something like that. That actually might look good kind of as texture down the road or something like that. Or if we're doing like a snowy scene, maybe I should do it like that, you know, with the textures on like that. Okay, but here's the fireflies like this, okay? Let's go like this. I can't see anything at all like that. It might take 20 taps, I don't know. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was 20 taps right there, but see that glow kind of coming around? Okay, that was probably my like 30 light taps like that. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. It seems like if I zoom in really slowly like that, but see these little flies like that? And make some of them, here's a little refinement thing, make some of them a little bit brighter, some a little bit duller. The ones that are in the light, you know, you're going to have to add more for it to even see that glow. But this white pigment ink really stands out against kind of the darker areas like that. So you can go for like a really dull glow too like that. But see those little glowing lights like that? Let's see. All right, I need to re-ink. And there you have your glowing little things. That changed that area in there, didn't it, with the tree trunks? So I have some out here too. Yeah, there wouldn't be little fireflies on Easter Island, but who cares? Or maybe those represent something else. Maybe they're little kind of, you know, spirits or something like that, you know, flying around there. But it's a way to go back in and introduce light into dark in kind of a whimsical way, too. All right, see it over here? I need to add some of these into that first piece, I think. I don't know, that one took like 40 little taps or something like that, but see some of these around the columns here too? Okay, now going back to that whole idea of consistency too, when I start tapping it on here, even for me, when I start doing this, it's like, I don't think I have enough on there. And I feel the urge to re-ink this. Okay, but I got it though, just by tapping. I don't know, it was probably tapping it 20 more times or something like that. Again, so I totally get where everyone's coming from in terms of applicator, whatever consistency, you know, inconsistency on these things. All right. The drier it is, the softer it is too. Like I put some on there and it was kind of a little blobby. You know, it was the lighting that I wanted on there, but it was a little bit more blobby looking. All right, now I think it is completely dry now. So we do need to re-ink once in a while. And again, those types of things aren't going to be glowing as strong when they dry, so you might have to reapply. Or if you're doing like fireflies, if you're doing a color scene, then one of the things I was mentioning yesterday, this is when, after you apply this, this is when you can add that little green dot in there or something like that. This one's a little bit bright, isn't it? You can just kind of dab it down like this and kind of knock it down a touch. All right, so that is that. Did I miss any fireflies in here? How you'd know is if there was like an isolated like white dot somewhere. And there's one down here, like that one right there. This is one of those tricks too. If you ever have like a boring area of a scene that you just want to kind of bring to life a little bit, what those areas usually are, it's something like this. It's like right in here. I wouldn't call that boring or anything. I mean, we do have some lighting in here, but adding that little bit of light like that, and especially like little glowing light within those spaces, it just kind of brings the area to life. That's what happens in skies too. Here, I'm not even adding like a little green. I'm just adding that little white back into it. But look at that little here. We need to go a little bit more. Okay, these ones dried out a little bit too light. But these little things like this up in skies look really fantastic. It really brings areas to life. What you do in a sky, if you're adding little dots down with your white paint pen or gel pen or whatever you're using, what you do is on a couple of those stars, just make a two or three of them. If it's on a small piece, glow, but then leave your other stars as is, so you get that consistency change between crisp and soft stars. So some of the stars might be planets or something like that. I don't know. Um, let's see. I did get real cotton balls and good Q-tips. Did you get the fogging brand of them candy? I'm just joking. Yeah, 100% cotton. Like 99, the ones that I noticed are like the 99-cent store, Dollar Tree type of things. Some of those ones were the acrylics that I had. And I would have thought those acrylic cotton balls, they feel even fluffier and softer. So if you were able to get that ink on there, it would work fantastic, I think, in terms of an applicator. But it just doesn't take the ink. It repels ink and moisture. So you're not able to load it up well. So if it's not taking it, it's not there's nothing to transfer on there very well. So so those ones were out for me. They were kind of useless for me. And plus, like a bag of cotton balls, it's like so cheap. Although my bag of 100 cotton balls, I'm down to like 6 here. I need to go buy some more. But, I don't know. I got these at Target right here. But yeah, just don't use too much ink. You're I mean, it sounds stupid, but I mean, it's a good thing. Do it where like it takes 10 taps for you to kind of see 10 light taps too. Don't smash down harder if you don't see anything like that. Just kind of like, and imagine yourself when you're doing it. Imagine yourself like you have a cotton ball with some makeup and you're applying it to like a child's face, like an like a toddler's face, and you're just kind of dabbing it on their face. That's kind of the touch you want from it. And you can go harder, the more the drier your applicator gets, but that's roughly the feel that you want like that. I always say toddler because if it's a kid that's like 10, you can go on a little bit harder. But like a little kid, we're getting them ready for, go out trick-or-treating or something like that. And I don't know, it's a makeup type of costume they're wearing. Jeannie smashes on her fog instead of tap. Well, yours, Jeannie, you're doing. Jeannie does. Jeannie can do anything in her scenes and often does, but Jeannie does more of. I always tell her Jeannie's stamping is stamp expressionism. Where everything is like there is a lot of textural movement in her pieces, which is fantastic, you know. And I don't know, just tons of texture and I don't know, like brush marks showing. And so they're almost like more painting. I don't know. Well, they're equal parts, at least equal parts painting to, let's say, what we would think of as traditional stamping, the way you use all your media on there. So that's different, Jeannie. I don't know. You're a painter. At this point in time, you're a painter doing stamping, as opposed to a stamper kind of using paints. I think. I don't know, and no one else does. It looks like yours either. So, you have your signature style, but I don't reference yours as a technique because it's an advanced technique, you know, like painting and brush strokes and things like that. And it's awesome. Okay, so yeah, it's adding this. You see, it's kind of setting up a little bit more. I'm kind of blabbing away here. I mean, it's kind of done, but as I sit here and let it kind of dry. But do you see little things like that? See that, like that top of that head right there? I mean, to me, it looks a little bit more dimensional that way. Okay, now look at, okay, now here's another opportunity right here. See these little feet. Now this is getting really dark right here, right? So this white would stand to, you know, really stand out kind of, maybe, you know, perhaps awkwardly. The more, when you add like this white into a darker area like that, that's where you need a little bit more touch. But all it means is just going with something drier. Oh, and I hear this all the time too, from people with either inking or toning. Like, okay, I think this is dry on here. I'm using Brilliance ink, which is drying really fast on me. But I used to use more of the Color Box Frost White. Okay, so if you want, you don't have to use Brilliance too. And as a matter of fact, I would recommend more of the, you know, the Hero Arts type of pigment ink or something like that, rather than the fast drying Brilliance. Okay, I've gotten used to it, but I never used to use that. Okay, so see that little bit of fog down there? It's real glary like that. But see that just a little change like that. Okay, so it's just not all straight darkness like that. And I can put a little bit more over here in the light, like this. Oh, let's do it up on that tree up there too. Okay, this is really drying on me fast, for some odd reason. Maybe I have a lot of the pigment in here, and Brilliance ink is kind of designed to dry fast, so maybe I have a lot more of the binder kind of in there, and it's setting up on me really fast. Okay, but see that little fog on them? I mean, it's something that's really subtle. It's not just so stark black in there anymore, but, you know, when you look at it overall, that's not something that anyone would really, you know, pay attention or notice. But overall, like that, when you look at the piece, I think it's just a little bit more, I don't know, you know, the form takes on a little bit more of a different, dimensional quality. It's a little bit more rounded like that. It's saying that, you know, those characters are kind of dimensional as opposed to like a, you know, two-dimensional, which they are, but it just gives the illusion of a little bit more three-dimensional quality, especially when you have like lighting wrapping around something. So it's this fog that's kind of enveloping things. I don't know, you know, so maybe think in terms of those types of terms too when you're doing this type of thing. Think about these things like representing something. I know it's kind of like a weird kind of concept right there, because these things are all, we're just working in 2 dimensions right here. But when we're doing this, I'm trying to think about these things in terms of 3-dimensional things. So, I have things going in between things like that. So that's what happens when I oscillate things like that. You have some right there, but you don't have anything right there. So you're saying that this is going back in space. You know what I mean? It's not just this flat piece of paper, which it is. But when you add it here and not up here, you're saying this is in a different location than that back there. It's going farther back in the distance. So I have a little here, none here, some here on this object, some on the base, some up top. So we're seeing that they're standing up out of something like that. So that's all those things represent. So see how I just kind of tweak things. Here's this whole object shadow down here, and I just broke it up. Here's this woman right here in the light, so I put some of it right here, and not over the whole thing like that. So it just kind of pushes depth everywhere. I mean, there's other areas where you can do it, at the base of the columns or something like that, or on these little bushes like that. But I think it's, I mean, you can do it on an ant if you want to, and if you want to get that detailed, but yeah. Anyways, Phyllis took off earlier. How do you choose what you want to highlight? Verna, it's where there's light areas and anything dark next to it. Now, right everywhere in here, there's a lot of areas of light. So see like this? So now see, this character right here, the skeleton, it's kind of it's an outline, right? Like this, okay? So if I put some fog over that, it would be okay, but this is an outline design. So if I put too much fog over it, I wouldn't be able to see it anymore, right? Because it's delicate, it's these tiny little lines, okay? So I didn't put too much right here because we wouldn't be able to see them. But see, like these solid objects over here, we can see those objects still by adding some of that at the base of it. But just in general, okay, so here's my general approach to this. I added around my light sources, and here, let me show you this too. Here's kind of an extreme version of this, okay? So where are my light sources on this one? It's the water falling, right? It's the light areas like that. So that's my fog right around in there like that. Now, we could say that this area up here is light and everything like that too, but I really want to emphasize this and this, okay? So I don't have it like up here, I see the fog as being, like at the base of a waterfall, it's, that churning water or something like that. And then there's some of this pigment ink down here too on this lighting like that. So it's closer to my light source like that, okay? And I don't know, you can put little fireflies out here. I wouldn't do that on something like that. It'd get too busy, but that's that. Okay, so see this one right here? Where's my light source? My light source is all back in here, right? And here's my crisp images. By the way, this is on photo paper. It worked pretty good, didn't it? Glossy photo paper, but it's light in here, kind of, and I, see, so here's like that one loon here. Sorry, it's out of focus, but that one loon, I put a little bit over the top of it like that. It's just a little bit different than that. It says that there's a little bit of fog down here. So there's a little bit of fog at the base of this tree like that in here. But I don't go into this knowing where I'm going to put it though, Verna. I add it in this one little area like that. And if I like it, then I just kind of go a little bit more. And if I really liked it, and I can keep adding it on here, but see, I don't add it over here like in the darkness because there wouldn't be any illumination over here. Here's the base of these rocks down here. It's the base of the rocks, just like it's the base of the trees, the base of the kids' legs. I like that low-lying fog. It's like that kind of that fog that's kind of sitting, hovering a few feet off the surface or something like that. But if there's a really light area in the background like that, that represents something really far. See this mountain here? That is the same color as up there. I didn't lighten that area up there, but I lightened it with the pigment ink because this was my light area in there, so it just feels different in there. You know, the mountains look a little bit more dimensional that way by not having like that defined area, the same value as that up there. But again, I don't know that going into it. I just add in that like super 1% addition like that, and then I take a look at it, and I just kept adding more and more. So you're never kind of, you don't have to know all these types of things like that. Do you see? Here's my, see, this is my beaver dam. I forgot what they were called there for a second. But see, here it is a little bit at the base of it here. And then see it coming in up there. Do you see how this is all the same darkness like that? But then there's a little bit here, and there's a little bit right here. I just kind of lightened up the top. See how it's like this really pale gray. But the stamp, I stamped it all in black, though. But look how much better it looks up there, because that is the closest thing to this. Oh, do you see those little seagulls up there? These ones right here are darker, but those ones in the distance are lighter. And it's not because I toned them. I don't think I did. I think I used the pigment ink right over the top of it like that. So these ones look near, these ones look far. But again, you just kind of put a little bit down there if you want, you know. I mean, I could have added more in here. It wasn't like, okay, those were the spots, you know, that it needs to be used. I just used it there. I could use it on some of these branches, you know, some of these leaves right in here, and I think it would look good. But this is a vellum piece right here. You almost can't even tell it's vellum, huh? But from a technique standpoint, it absolutely is vellum because these trees here are kind of blocked off. And the moodier you want something, you know, here's a vellum piece right here, but there's a lot of pigment ink in this one. Maybe it's, you know, gone a little bit overboard. Oh, okay, well, that looks better. See, this is all glary here because it's all that vellum kind of reflecting. But see this area out here? But look at all this out here. Look how much I knocked that back, and look how much he stands out more by not having these things in here. If these were a lot darker, I mean, it would look okay too, but the emphasis is kind of more on this little character right here by having these areas in the background a little bit lighter, or a lot lighter. So they were a lot lighter because they were behind the vellum, but then I knocked it back more because I wanted it moodier, you know, with the creature of the Black Lagoon. So, you know what I mean? I mean, you're doing a scene of horror at nighttime, you know, and it's going to have like vampires or something like that, then maybe you use a little bit more on there, you know. But if it's something like a beaver dam at high noon, you know, it was just like in a couple little small areas like that. I did find some really good cotton balls and Q-tips. Let's see. Froggy Fresh needs to refinement on a lot of things. Well, everything you're doing looks... Oh, Froggy Fresh, I found another train that I had. This one right here. You might even know what train it is. Your husband probably knows. This one's from Imaginaire Designs again. So they used to do, you know, all those, you know, real realistic planes, but I guess he had trains too. Santa Fe, you know, I don't know. Does he have the name of this one? Alco Santa Fe, PA Diesel. Yep. I don't know. They even label all these things like that. Gosh, the amount of craftsmanship that went into all of their designs like that. Because they made these blocks too by themselves by beveling off all of these corners like that. It's so crazy. But yeah. Yeah, Heather took off. Thanks for joining in, Heather. I know she's gone already. Hero Hues. Well, Brilliance just dries faster. Do you know the difference between Brilliance inks, Candy, and the other types of pigment inks? If you don't, Brilliance is a water-based pigment ink and fast drying, and every other pigment ink is an oil-based, slower drying ink that is more conducive for other types of things, including embossing. Like, I don't know if you can emboss with brilliance inks because it's when you stamp it out and you lift that image, it's already starting to dry. So it will dry very quickly. There might be a little bit of a different coloration too. I think my brilliance ink white is probably a little bit different than my color box and hero hues unicorn ink too. There might brilliance is there's supposed to have a little bit of shimmer to it too. Um, you know, a little bit of that iridescence going on. I don't know, maybe it's that. See, it's kind of reflective like this and on my studio lights like that. But when you, this is what I see right here, okay? But see that brilliance ink, when I go like that, do you see how those things are really standing out? Like in a good or bad way. Like it's a little bit glary like that, but this is what this looks like that. So it's a lot more subtle like that. But the brilliance is probably doing a little bit of has a little bit of that reflective quality of an iridescent like that. Like especially like right up here. Like I have a lot of studio lights like on the sides like this that are real close to my lights that are, you know, on the, you know, coming at night like 45-degree angles right here. But see, it's really like that. You know, that little area that's really standing out like that down there. So it's a little bit more subtle than what you guys are looking at with these lights on like this. So anyways, yeah, if you want something to dry fast, use, now I used to use the brilliance inks only for, sometimes, here's one of the things with the other types of things like hero hues. I already forgot about this. But let's say I'm adding in some hero hues or something like that, okay? Pigment inks are surface oriented. You apply them and the oils from them get absorbed into your cardstock. That's why you can't use oil-based pigment inks on like a glossy cardstock. It's just, glossy cardstock is porous, but it's not porous enough for that thick oil. So those types of inks, pigment inks, do not dry on glossy cardstock. They don't dry on photo paper, things like that. And all of the pigment stays on the surface like that. So, okay, so getting back to this, one of the things that I always encountered, if I wanted to go really light somewhere and really build it up and really have something glow, if I was trying to go for too much of that white pigment ink in my color box or hero hues, it just won't build up anymore. What happens is, because it's all sitting on the surface, you try to apply more and it almost starts, you start removing it in a way, so it comes off. And that's sometimes where I used to go with, okay, if I started encountering that, those were the areas that I kind of knew I wanted to go really light. So I would use my brilliance white to build up on that. So I'd use it as a secondary color to those other ones because it would stick, for one, because it's drying on there really fast. So it would grab the paper a little bit easier. But I always thought that going on straight with the brilliance white directly as a fogging type of thing, I felt it was a little bit precarious because it would dry too fast for me and I couldn't manipulate it on the surface, like removing it if I didn't like it. But I'm finding that, I don't know, as I do this, you know, I added it on there. If you kind of, you know, manipulate it a little bit immediately or within the first, I don't know, 10 seconds or something like that, you can remove it. And, you know, it's not that fast drying that where you can't do that. So it's good for that. But it's, I would say that being said, I would say go with your hero hues though first, Candy. They're like much easier. You know, having a slower drying medium when you're kind of getting the feel for it. That's, you know, that's a good one to go with. So that's a good, really good question there. But yeah, for me, it used to be color box, frost white. But then I did get the hero hues though. I don't know. I don't use it anymore. I probably should in these demonstrations like that, or I should probably point that out. So I don't know. I kind of forgot about it. But for years I was saying don't use the Brilliance ink when you're first getting into it because it dries just too fast. But like I said, I remove. I was probably less careful about it. I would really blot it off a lot more before I started to take it into the scenes or something like that. Um, with the Brilliance, but with the other pigments inks, I was probably a lot less careful because I know I can just wipe it off at any given time. Like with the Hero Hues too. I mean, once it even on this type of silk paper or definitely on the glossy, if it dries, you can just wipe it right off too. And with those other ones that aren't quite so fast drying and grabbing, the paper like the Brilliance can. Yeah, the Hero Hues was when I went to teach up in your or demonstrate up in your neck of the woods, Jeannie. I went to over to Olympia and I gave a demonstration at Art and Soul. It was like they were closing the shop down, or and they wanted to get a couple people in, last people in to demonstrate, as kind of a farewell type of thing. And I had taught out there 2 or 3 times in the past, and that was the last tip that I got from being in store anywhere. It's like, oh, no, the Hero Hues is a lot whiter than the color box ones. That was the consensus with everyone there. So I bought the Hero Hues at that time, and it was a little bit lighter than the color box one. But I think the Brilliance is probably even lighter, but it might just be because it dries faster. So when you apply it down there, you get a much more of a transfer of the media. Yeah, I don't know if the pigment itself is lighter or not, but it's just it transfers and it dries faster. Um, so it might look more opaque. I don't know. Okay, great, great. Froggy Fresh. Yeah, I'll take a look at it on Facebook. Where would the boring areas be in your scenes, Kevin? Well, like I said, I thought that like this area, these in front of these trees like that, you know, that's like 4 inches of, see when you add these two together, this is like a say these two trunks right here are really similar. I know you're just kind of joking around, but and that is a nice compliment, Chris. Thanks. But see, like this right here, this is trunk right here. This trunk, this is 2 by 4.5 inches right here. So that's 2 by 9 inches. So that's 18 square inches, right, of these two trunks right here. That would just be pretty mono. I have the variation going from light and dark over that, but it's really similar in there. But those little things like that, it really kind of breaks up the shapes like that. I don't really even look at when I look at over in these trees now, I'm not really even thinking about those trees now. I see those little fireflies now because they're in front of it. It's the closer thing to you. So, but yeah. Um, in skies, oftentimes on the upper, left and right corners where I get kind of a little bit darker on my scenes, stars, in the form of, little dots or something like that, or Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White. And then that glowing little thing there too. So when you splatter paint with the Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White too, um, you get a pretty uniform kind of application of that splattering. I'm just kind of curious if this will come off right here. Okay, so see, this is on foil. This is what I was mentioning. That was the Brilliance ink that I used on the foil, which is a fast drying, pigment ink. And this has been sitting on this for like, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it comes right off. So this is a really great, foils are a really great kind of, little thing to practice on in terms of your white pigment technique there, or getting the touch down like that. But yeah, no longer a jumbo bag. Versa Magic White. I haven't tried the Versa Magics of anything. I do have a Versa Magic black, or something like that. Look at this. Does anyone remember Excelsior? I'm looking for my Versa Magic. Barn Red. I don't even know who made this. It looks like one of those. It looks like one of those Stuart Superior ink pads, probably from like the like that mid '90s or something. I don't know. I got one of those Versa Magics around here somewhere. But are all Versa Magics pigment inks? Yeah, that Olympia. That was probably about. I don't know. That gosh, that was probably about. I don't remember when that was. 4 years ago or something like that. I always taught there. I always when I was up in Seattle. Well, I used to teach, all around Seattle. There was what is it? West Seattle. I think there was is that the area that they call that? It's across the water, but it's still Seattle. I think it was West Seattle. I used to teach over there. Redmond. No, not Redmond. Yeah, Redmond. Redmond and Edmonds I get confused about those because I taught at both of those areas. But typically, when a lot of those stores were gone, so I'd teach in Olympia and then go all the way up to Bellingham and teach up there at Stampadoodle. Stampadoodle. It wasn't There was there was a couple Stampadoodle Doos and Stampadoodle. All these rubber stamp store names. Picket fence isn't good for mist, but I probably use it most to lighten areas that got too dark. Ah. Now is picket fence a brand of pigment ink there? Oh, you had Excelsior inks, huh? What brand is that? It doesn't even say the brand on the thing, unless the brand was Excelsior. But I don't remember a manufacturer called Excelsior. That's the line of stamps, ink pads, right? Not the brand. Let's see. Boy, some of these inks are sure glary. There we go. That's even now this one's glaring across that one. Okay, so I guess I can't. That's a little bit too. Okay, that's better, like that. The Misty Maze. That reminds me of this volleyball player at Long Beach State. Her name was Misty May. She was awesome. But I think a cave one. I want to do one more of these pieces, but gosh, in a cave though, that would be like using I don't know. It wouldn't be using as many stamps though, because you're not going to have so much variation in there. And unless just one area is like a cave, and it's like, the maze kind of represents kind of through the roof. I don't know, not roof, but like where you can see into the maze, going around in these areas. But I see like a little goblins or monsters in there or something like that. Let's see. Thanks, PJB. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Distress ink. Yeah, I was shocked when. So when do you start your official Halloween scene? When do you start your official Halloween scene? When do I start doing the official? I don't. What does that mean? Like card making or something like that? Picket fence is a distress ink. Oh, it's the name of the color. And I'm sorry, is the distress ink? Is there a distress pigment ink out there called picket fence? I take it like a white picket fence, right? Is that why they call it that? There used to be a white dye-based ink, which always confused me because dye-based inks are typically transparent, and white by nature is, opaque. Not distressing, but there was some other company that called their dye white. See, here's one of those things that's kind of good to have a little chat as I look around and I see there's things to do here. So let me see. Let me put a little bit of this. Pigment ink at the base of that. See, it's like a little light is coming through this way like that. See that? I wouldn't have seen that if I didn't, if we weren't talking here. You know? That looks pretty cool, though, huh? Don't you think? It's like this little moonlight's coming through this little area like that. I can do like moonbeams in here, but I thought about doing light rays in the other piece too, but I thought, that might be a little bit too much. You know, there's so much information going in here. I don't want to have like the whole idea. Most of my scenes just like this real definitive area, you know, focal point or something like that. But you know, this one right here, you don't want these maps to have like this super strong focal point taken out, you know, distracting from all these other areas. You're supposed to kind of, you know, wander about or whatever on this one. I don't know, this one doesn't have like a real definitive map. You know, it's going like this and this and that. Not this one's, it doesn't have a great compositional build, but it was just, I don't know, I did it because it was easy that way, going up this way and then like that, going to the other, you know, 2 panels that'll be on there. Oh, scary scene. Oh, when are you going to do a Halloween scene? Oh, you know what I want to do? Kay, this is what I want to do here. I'm getting some really great little areas, sections here, and I thought I might want to break them up a little bit. Not physically on here, but like this. I really love this passage, like right in here, with those deer like that with those glowing eyes, or just different animals. I want to do something like that. So yeah, I don't know, probably after sometime after the other piece. Like I want to do a real quick and easy stamp along piece after this one too. So there might be a couple other cards in between the second and third monster map. When are you doing your? When is everyone doing their? Does anyone here do? Does everyone here do Halloween cards at all, or do you do a lot of them? You know, I'm just kind of curious to know when people start those, or you know, how many you do. Yeah, that it looks like the case of those old Stuart Superior pads, Chris. You know, there's like a lot of the companies out there still, I think, utilize Stuart Superior for their pad making. They just order whatever, you know, types of inks they want in them. VersaMagic is a pigment ink. Okay, it dries chalky. Oh, okay. That's one thing too. I never got those chalk style pigment inks. I don't think I even have a single one. Usually with the different brands of inks, up to a certain point, I'd have at least one of them that I picked up somewhere along the line. I may or may not have used it or something like that. That goes for the Brilliance too. I didn't use the Brilliance pads for years, and I had stays on too. I just never got around to using it. I don't know. I have a number of other pads too. We were talking about this in, I don't know, a live stream, I don't know, months ago, I guess, at probably this point in time, but I was mentioning that I still have the Vivid pads here by Clear Snap that still work just fine. These were some of the first raised dye-based pads out there in the market. God, Clear Snap was such a great company. It's just too bad they're not around. The Blanco. I've never used that Blanco pad. Or I don't have one. I've seen them though. But I don't know. I'll have to try that Versa Magic pad, that chalky one. I wouldn't mind having kind of a chalkier type of finish to my pieces in certain areas, for sure. Hello, Debbie. We're just kind of wrapping it up and chatting about media here and availability and the different types of pads, specifically, mostly the pigment inks that are out there these days. That wasn't me wearing the skeleton gloves. I don't know. I think that thing, something broke into my studio, on Halloween, or approaching Halloween, and did those scenes like that. I found interesting. Yeah, we'll do that sometime though. Not on a gigantic scene though. Quarter page. Clear Stamp was great. I was just looking for some additional color box stylus tooltips today because someone, asked me, and I just told them sometimes you can get lucky. Someone will post, some of those packs of it. And I saw the the cat's eye clear snap wand with the cat's eye holder on it, so there's no foam. But I was telling them that people can buy that. I think it's that. I keep forgetting the name of that foam by Ranger. That sheet of it that I think people are cutting out the shape of the foam and just gluing it to one of those tips and using it that way. But I don't know, someone had some of that clear snap thing on there. It wasn't cheap. It was like maybe one wand, or it might have been three wands. I'm not sure, but it was like $20. And then there was another clear snap thing. I'm not quite sure, but one of them was like, I don't know, it was like really expensive on eBay. I don't know. I guess I know it's discontinued, but I don't know what they would use that for if they didn't apply a tip onto it, a foam tip, and use it that way. Because they're not gonna be buying it for the cat's eye, kind of application, with, I don't think, why, I wouldn't imagine why anyone would want that. I don't think people were using that cat's eye that way anyway back in the day, with the small pigment ink cat's eyes. Chalk for years. I have them in Ranger still. I do about a dozen every year. Oh, you do a lot of compositions, Chris. Your zombies arrived today. Ah, zombies from like Viva Las Vegas stamps or something like that. Oh, you have a pristine one? Is it like, what do they call that? Uh, brand, was that acronym? I forgot the name of that acronym. Froggy Fresh told me what the name of that thing was. It's like unopened in box or something like that, New in box, something like that. Cut and dry foam. Thank you, CM. Yeah, that's what I think people are using. And then someone told me they use the Gorilla Glue to glue that foam on to their nib, the tip heads or whatever, the plastic tips and they told me that they use Gorilla Glue because it's waterproof. So, um, yeah, I don't know, Debbie. You got that brand new inbox. You can say you can post it on eBay as you can say collector's item. New inbox, mint. I know it's funny. It's funny to me that like stamps and things like that that have been discontinued have like some kind of like super high resale value on it. I don't know. I guess people know. I don't know. It seems strange to me because unless people are stampers, how would you know if something's like really kind of sought after? And then how would we really know? There's so many tens of thousands of stamps out there that have really been discontinued. I don't know what the value of them, but like that Creature of the Black Lagoon one. I don't know. There was one that was posted like the last time I used that, probably last year or something like that. Someone forwarded me a piece of it. It's either that or I'm thinking about the Edward Gorey set, but I don't know. It was like $70 or something like that, or I don't know. It was like maybe more. Um, but it's not like you can go on these websites and see this. Okay, here's the Edward Gorey collection of stuff, and collectibles and whatever, and this one's worth, a certain amount. It's such a kind of a niche type of product. It always, like I said, it always kind of surprises me. That whoever's listing it isn't just seeing it as just this used stamp or something like that. That's really common. So anyway, have a good dinner, or yeah, whatever you guys are eating there. Yeah, okay. A lot of these stamps that are being listed too, they're probably, some of them are thrift store types of things. I don't know. I guess people know what they're doing, that are listing certain types of things. I, I'm going to be listing some groupings of some overstock wood-mounted stamps sometime. I was doing that for a while, and then I just haven't gotten around to it in quite some time. But some people were buying, which I have no problem with. You can do whatever they want with it. But they were breaking up these sets that I would sell, and they were just selling them individually. So they got this big deal, huge kind of blowout deal. But yay, more power to them. And then they were selling them individually after that. I can tell because, I would get that, there was a whole listing, and those would be the grouping of stamps that, you know, or several groupings of stamps, and they would just sell them individually. So I don't know. It was good that people were making, someone's making money from it if they were selling for them. But yeah, rubber hedgehog zombies. As to my Halloween cards, I mass produce so it doesn't as no sweat. Oh, okay. So you're not doing like a dozen different ones. You're making a new composition for that year's release, huh? Got it. Got it. That's cool. Yeah, I need to do. Okay, so speaking of Halloween pieces too, some of these different compositions on here. I do want to try some of these on like foils or something like that, like this guy right here, kind of walking out of a kind of a glistening, moonlit ocean or something like that waterfall piece that I held up earlier. Might be kind of interesting. Or just walking, it could be walking out of the ocean like that, or it could be whatever. I mean, if I didn't have those palm trees on there, it could be just like a little lagoon or something like that. If I put something up above it. Um, but yeah, I want to play around with some things on foils and try to get like a dynamic look of for Halloween like that. Full moons against you know rainbow holographic sky or something like that might be kind of interesting. Okay, let's see. Edward Gorey set eBay sold $75. Wow. I don't know how much that set was on the shelf. Uh, was. Not that if we bought a bunch of those, I mean, how many people are looking for an Edward Gorey rubber stamp set, these days? I don't know. So maybe that it sold for $75 because it never comes up. But I don't know. I'm guessing that set was probably, I don't know, $10 at most. It was one of those cheap foam sets, so um, I can't remember the other things that they had, but the Edward Gorey one was the only one that I was interested in. You want the Stampa Barbara mimetics. I don't even know what that word is. My ticks. What is that? Zombie cat. Huh. Oh, Krampus cat. Krampus cat, huh? Huh. Do you have a composition kind of worked out with how you're going to use the zombies, Chris? Gosh, there's so many zombie um, movies and TV programs over these last 10 years or so. Foreign, domestic, everything. All right, let's see. I'm trying to think. I think I'm done with this piece here, though. This piece came together relatively quickly. And I like the feel of this paper, too, these big pieces. I don't know if it's all the media in them, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels different to me than after you get all this media on there. It has a kind of an interesting tactile feel with all that ink kind of loaded in there and whatnot. I don't know, it doesn't feel like paper to me for some reason, in a good way, I guess. But yes, thanks for joining in and checking out the remainder of this one. Some people like the Easter Island heads a lot. It gave me a chance. This one gave me a chance to bust out some things I haven't used like that, like these two in a long time. I haven't used these little, Greco-Roman things in quite some time. Columns, I used it recently on a foil piece. I think it was a reflection piece, a mirror card, because I wanted them kind of reflecting in the water area, and that was really fun too. But yeah, I'm not stamping Easter Island too often here, so um, yeah, silver foil might be interesting, Chris. Um, So it depends on your zombies. Like if the zombies are kind of outliney styles, you might kind of block off with some white pigment ink or something like that. Stamp out your zombies over the top of it, and then you can just kind of remove the excess um, ink that was around the zombie figures or something like that, just so they stand out or something like that. And that'd be kind of cool. Or zombies in the moonlight would be really cool too. Um, I don't know. If I wish one of the things I wish for Halloween, speaking of just Halloween cards in general, I wish there were more. You would think that there's glow in the dark paper out there, crafting paper. I could only find this glow in the dark vinyl, and it was like really expensive. It was like $1 for or more maybe for a 8.5 by 11 sheet. I think it was more than that. I think it was like, I don't know. I think it was a couple bucks for each sheet. So if not more, I don't know. I had to get it because it was the only one available that I can find out there. But I don't know. You think there would be some glow in the dark papers out there, for like Halloween scenes. It's like some cheap ones. It would be really cool, to do that. Or, so that we can just, punch out like moons out of this type of thing. I looked up, there might be some glow in the dark sticker paper or something like that too. I didn't, but I thought I looked that up too and I couldn't find anything. But, if we stamp out like zombies or moons or something like that and, have it, be able to be glow in the dark, or you can throw a black light on it. It would be so cool. But just the finding like that type of thing these days, it seems to be really difficult. Yeah. The Krampus shaker ball. Thanks, Jeannie. Hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to your pieces. Jeannie hasn't seen a horror movie, but I don't know. Make your deer, spooky or something like that. You can make all your animals. You can turn them into possessed animals with those little glowing little dots up there for their eyes like that. Yeah. All right. Ah, got it, Chris. Okay, so thanks everyone. Great chat. And thanks for the info. I always learn a lot from you guys on the different media out there. Look forward to seeing your piece, Chris, if you post it to anything, your Flickr or whatever. We talked about that, I don't know, not too long ago, your Flickr account. Number 3, yeah. I was mentioning maybe a cave or something like that for that number 3 piece. Horror office scene. All right, thanks everyone. Hope you have a great rest of day, whatever time it is for you. And thanks as always for tuning into the live stream of this, I don't know, whatever, fog and fireflies segment of this monster map.